basic use of typesetting tools in InDesign as a review, so you can refer back to this anytime you want. I'm going to first start by reminding you that you can select a workspace from up here. I suggest typography because it has the most robust set of options on the side here, but some of these you're not going to need. So like I could remove hyperlinks, you could remove story, you could remove text wrap, that's not a big one, and maybe CC libraries. And then I would say all of these are quite useful. And then what you could do is go ahead back in here and say new workspace, and I might say Briar's workspace. And now you've got it just as you like it. Then your next step is to go ahead and make a text box. So I'll just drag and snap it to my margins. And there are two ways to get your text in there, or there are a number of ways actually. We're going to start with the simplest. One is to just copy and paste. So I have my text in a text edit page here, so I can copy Command C and paste Command V into the page. That's very easy. The other option is I can use my selection tool and just delete this and scroll back to one of my others that I have in this file and select this whole text box. Copy it, Command C, and paste it. And actually I can even paste it right into the same place, Command V. This is, notice that the margins are a little bigger in this text box. Why is that? That is because, whoops, we are working with a different master page, and I'll show you what's going on here. We've got 3 different master pages here. We've got one with those margins, smaller margins, and then bigger margins. So notice that the page I copied from was master page A. If I drag master page A to page 4, it now will fit perfectly. So what you can do is, I'm going to delete this master page C and create a whole new one again. So go to your burger menu in the top of your pages, select your flyout menu and select new master, and it will always name it a new letter, and it will give you a height and a width. I'm using points right now, and but you can select a different unit of measure. I'll show you how to do that. Click OK. Now it's still it's going to be the same as it's going to be, I think, the same as the last one, or it's the same as the what we set up the original file as. So I can go ahead and change that. While this is highlighted, I can make changes to it. So I'll go to Layout, Margins and Columns. You're going to go to this window so much in your design process. So I can go ahead and make this even a bigger margin. And note that it's telling me I have 1 column. This is considered a column. It's creating a margin, but this is a text column, really. We'll talk about gutters later, so I'll just click OK. I'm actually not going to use this master, but just to show you how it works, if I dragged that master to the layout we're working on, it automatically adjusts for us, so it's a very helpful tool. You can add up text and other elements to your master, but we'll do that later. For now, I think we were liking, I think it was master A for that. Was it? Yeah. So let's leave that, and then we don't want two business cards the same, so I'm going to go ahead and do some typesetting changes to this. So for one, I'm going to change my alignment. So typesetting is going to happen a lot in these 2 areas. Up here we've got our character formatting tools and our paragraph formatting tools. I know this is paragraph because this is called a pilcrow, and this represents a paragraph break. I'll start with a paragraph by changing my alignment to the left, and I'm also going to change the alignment of the whole block of text and moving it to the top left of the page. Now it is sitting within this large text box, and I can tell it to move to the top of that text box. These settings up here adjust alignment within the text box. So bottom center, top. Now, if you aren't seeing these in your top navigation bar, you can always go to Object, Text Frame Options, and they are here in vertical justification. So there's almost always multiple ways to do things in InDesign, and you may find that I will show you one way to do something, and then another teacher might show you a different way to do things, and that's just that's why these programs are set up that way. So different people have different ways of working. You can change your sizes by highlighting and going to the character formatting area and clicking up and down. You can also hit Command, Shift, and arrow to make this bigger, and the arrow is sitting above the period, and the arrows are above the period and the comma. You can see it's sending them up 2 points, so that's kind of a chunk. You can also change the typeface, of course, or style. So if I go to black, well, it wasn't a huge change. Light. So I'm going to Command Z out of those. Those are possible up in the character formatting. And there are other adjustments in here too that we're going to talk about later. Back to our paragraph formatting tools, I also want to show you that this is where you can, also in character formatting, this is where you will adjust leading, which I think it's weird that this is, I think this should be in paragraph. I don't know why it's not. But that's where you adjust the space between lines. And in paragraph formatting, you can click on a line and adjust the space after a line. And so that's space before or after. So I can click one, and I've got it set to points in order to make a more deliberate amount of space. Now, you might be used to just putting a cursor after a character and hitting space. Well, that's a lot of space. You may not want that much space. You may want to be a little more refined in how much space you're setting after a character or after a line. And you don't have to highlight the whole line. You can just click on that line. Now, if you find, oh, I have inches here, and it's giving me way more space than I want, you can always change your units of measure by going to InDesign, Preferences, Units and Increments, and it's along this line, and units and increments are here, and here are your ruler increments, your stroke, and we'll get to this other stuff later, but this stuff really defaults, and you probably just want to leave it to that. This is where you can sort of change. Remember, it was jumping 2 points for every time I did a keyboard jump, so we can ignore that for now. We'll just leave that. So that is space after. You can also adjust in your character formatting tools. You can adjust tracking, which is letter spacing. So if I hover over this, you'll see tracking, and that adjusts the space across the letter forms, across a group of letter forms. And I'll hit 0 and bring those back. So you'll spend a lot of time in those detail typesetting tools, and we'll get into those more. I really just wanted you to get into the document, create one, and export. So I'm going to go ahead and actually also put a black box here. So I'm going to draw a box. I use the box tool, just like something you would do in Illustrator, click and drag. It's clear right now. You can see that over here. Colors work a little differently, so I'm going to go to swatches and get a black. You have to create a color before you can use it. You can't just make it as you go. And as you can see, it's now sitting on top. Layers work very similarly. So I'll click Object, Arrange, Send to Back, and click Off. And now there's my text box. If I double click and highlight, I'm going to click Command A to select all my text and just tell it I want it to be the paper color. Which, imagine if you were printing this out, there's no white ink. You're wanting it to be the color of the paper. So I'll click Off. I click off of everything and I can just hit the letter W and it gives me a nice preview. Note that I pulled my black box all the way out to the bleed so that when I print this, it is, it is going to be, when I trim, I have a nice margin of error to trim into that black and not get any white paper showing. So this is about all you need in order to create this project and get a jump start with setting type in InDesign. We'll get more detailed later.